Hey, good evening, everybody. What's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, joined by Paul F. Villarreal. And wow, what a night. It is over pretty much. The New Hampshire primary. It is 9:49 right now, East Coast time, and this is January 23rd. Less than about a week, right? A little bit over a week, a little around a week. From the Iowa caucuses, where there was a big Trump blowout there on the GOP side. President Biden has also won on the Democratic side for the New Hampshire primary. Much lower numbers on the Democratic side than there were on the Republican side. We're being joined right now by Paul F. Villarreal. And I'm just telling you, there's a lot of activity right here in terms of this night. We had Vivek Ramaswamy on stage with President Trump, Senator Scott. We had the two Trump sons up there, and Don Jr., Eric. There's a lot of activity on that stage. And they were just now. We also talked. I guess there was a before Trump speech. Nikki Haley, Governor Haley, Ambassador Haley gave a speech. Paul, I mean, let's break down the numbers right here. This kind of went as expected. Trump got a majority of the support. I would say that percentage-wise, I mean, I think Nikki Haley did pretty good. But it's just hard to see where her campaign could go after this. I mean, it just seems over. And first of all, we have to say, I guess, congratulations to the Trump team for that win. Right? They did what they needed to do. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the bottom line, right? At the end of the day, this is about, we've got here 44% in, Trump at 50. This is Real Clear Politics with 78,000, Trump has 78,580 votes. That represents 54.3%. Governor Haley has 63,533, representing 43.9%. So Trump has a majority of the votes and also has over a 10-point lead. What do you make of tonight? And what do you make of what Governor Haley said so far, Paul?
Well, look, I think that it went pretty much the way we thought it was going to go, which is Trump won. This race was called by Dave Wasserman, who does like a lot of election calling. He called this race at like 7:23 p.m. Eastern time. So all of New Hampshire hadn't even voted yet. That's how early this was. Now, as you said, the percentages were a little bit closer than what we thought, but it just shows you how many, in my opinion, how many independents and Democrats got involved in this. Still, Trump easily won. And this is going to be, in almost everybody's estimation, Nikki Haley's best state, and Trump won. And he did better in some spaces.
Sorry about that. Let me just quickly explain some of that. So New Hampshire has an open primary where you can basically, I believe, and double check me, I'm not, this is my recollection, my opinion, I'm not alleging anything. You can change your registration the day of, I believe. And so there's a lot of registered independents that can vote either way. Sometimes people change the registration and whatnot. And so when you have a basically non-competitive race on the Democratic side, you had, some people saying that Governor Haley was kind of, appealing to Democrats out there. I'm not alleging anything. I'm just saying, at least in terms of policies and stuff like that. I'm not saying there was anything ill that was done or any shenanigans or anything like that. But you do have an open primary state. And when you go into what Paul was saying right there, you have a situation where on the Democratic side, the same day primary, right, you had Biden getting, the sitting president getting 16,000 votes versus Trump's 79,000 votes versus Haley's 64,000 votes. So it's kind of weird. Now, granted, only 20% of the Democrats are in and 44% of the Republicans are in, but you can see that just a monumental amount of people were voting. And Biden has 67% of the vote on his side. The next best person Phillips has 4,874 votes. So you just see this massive multiplier of people voting on the Republican side versus the Democrat side. And maybe that is where it goes to, some speculation of what Paul's talking about in terms of, well, how many Democrats did re-register to vote Republican or independents, vote on the Republican side instead of on the Democrat side, right? So I just want to fill that in there, Paul.
Yeah. So New Hampshire is a semi-closed primary state. That means that you either vote for the party that you're part of, or if you're independent, you can vote for either one. And what was recorded or what was noted by observers was, I want to say that 4,000 Democrats switched their registration before the deadline. And of course, that was thought that they were going to go and vote Republican primary, which, as far as I know, that's what people think that they did. And apparently, a bunch of independents maybe decided to vote in the Republican primary rather than vote in the Democratic primary. So also, just part of it was New Hampshire is a more moderate and independent state than a lot of other states. Like, for example, it's much more moderate than Iowa is. It's much more moderate than other states are, like South Carolina. So this isn't really, in my opinion, a really fully representative Republican state. And people thought that if Nikki Haley was going to do anything, if she had a chance to win anywhere, this was the state that she was going to have a chance to win. And she didn't win. So, I mean, at the end of the day, even if she kind of maybe overperformed a little bit, it still isn't enough. I mean, that's kind of what people think. I mean, I saw a DeSantis donor, a former DeSantis donor, and I don't remember his name. He was on CNN tonight. And he basically said, look, this is Haley's high watermark.
Oh, yeah,
and
we said that in the show yesterday.
Most people feel.
Definitely.
Yeah, of course. So I think that's the way how most people feel. And so here we are.
So here we are. And you got to think about, like, you know, if this is the high watermark for Governor Haley, if basically your campaign is now premised upon appealing to potentially, I'm not saying officially or anything, I'm just saying my personal opinion, speculation as a talk show host, if you've got all these people coming behind President Trump, former candidates, Vivek Ramaswamy, Senator Tim Scott, Governor Bergram, Governor DeSantis, the biggest name, you know, out there. If you've got all these people behind President Trump now, who do you have left to appeal to? Independents, never Trumpers, Democrats? Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how there's a lane at all to win. So then why are you in here? And then yet here's Governor Haley who's saying, hey, we're fighting on. We're going to continue. I think Trump said something like when he went up in the speech, he's up maybe 50 points in South Carolina, her own state. I mean, what's that going to look like, Paul, if she loses her state really badly? What do you think what's the impact there?
That's going to look devastating. And I don't know. I have to look up what South Carolina's status is in terms of closed, open, whatever. Look, I think there are people who feel like a similar operation, or perhaps a potentially similar operation, could take place in South Carolina, maybe trying to get Democrats to come over and vote for her. We know that one of the top congressional Democrats, James Clyburn, is from there. Would he get involved? I have no idea. But the thing is, South Carolina is a conservative state. She is down a lot in the polls. I just don't see how it's going to happen. That election is at the end of February. So we're talking about maybe 5 weeks away.
Right.
And if it doesn't, I mean, if she's not out by then, I don't know how she's going to last beyond that. And before South Carolina is Nevada, there's kind of a weird situation there where there's both a primary and a caucus, but the caucus is the one that awards all the delegates. She's not even registered to be in the caucus, so she cannot win. And so, like you said, nobody knew exactly what she was going to do. After she lost tonight, and she goes up, gives a speech, as you said, we're going to fight on. And people are like, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
what's going on here?" I mean, Stefanik and some other Republican leaders are like, "Look, this should end. She should drop out. We need to rally around Trump. Let's move on." John Cornyn, who is one of the Republican leaders in the Senate, who I don't think has ever been particularly close with President Trump, he came out and endorsed Trump after the results tonight. So like you said, who are you playing to?
Yeah.
I mean, what is this? And there are people out there speculating, and I'm not saying this is true or not, but there are people speculating is she just doing this to help the establishment, to help hurt Trump in the long run? I mean, what's going on here?
That's a big question. And I mean, there was talk about how she was surging in second place in Iowa. And then we got the Iowa results. And then all of a sudden her campaign just came to a little bit of a sideswipe halt, if you will, in my opinion. I mean, you talking about the whatever tune they were trying to play, that record just kind of stopped for a second. Although they continued to, and this is the thing, like you want to talk about tone deaf. I mean, you've got this report here on Fox, quote, Haley declares GOP race, quote unquote, far from over after dropping, New Hampshire to Trump. I mean, like, where are you going to do? Where are you going to win? Like, I don't understand it, dude. It almost seemed like she came almost like a winning acceptance speech or something. I don't know. It was very strange. So, it's a quote, I'm a fighter, I'm scrappy. Okay. All right. That's fine. Whatever. I mean, it's just, the point being is that people are going to ask, not unlike John Kasich last time, right? I mean, at some point, like, what are you doing? What is the point of this campaign? And it just seemed like as it went on, in my opinion, Governor Kasich became, it seemed like, at least my opinion, I'm not in anyone's head, I'm not alleging anything, more and more bitter, more and more strange. We had that strange snowball, fight out there in one of the Ohio. Like, it just was, and I think he lost Ohio. It was a similar type of deal. Like, I think he lost Ohio, like Governor Haley's going to lose South Carolina, and he was going on the Sunday shows and sounding more and more like a Democrat. And we haven't heard from him since. At least I haven't. I mean, I don't cover everything, but I think that the questions are going to emerge very fast. First of all, you had like so much money and focus dumped on New Hampshire and Iowa by the Haley campaign and the DeSantis campaign, just massive amounts. This is the best that you can do. Like, where do you go from here? How do you get more money for this? Like, who's going to sign up for this, right? Whether on a volunteer basis, I don't know. I mean, what's the rationale? So I think questions are going to arise pretty quickly, Paul. And you want to talk about, like, if the idea is to position yourself as a VP or position yourself as, some future candidate on the Republican side. I mean, it feels like it's going down that Liz Cheney, Congressman and Congresswoman Liz Cheney, Congressman Adam Kinzinger, former role in terms of just spoiler to Trump. And are you looking to exit your way out of the Republican Party? Like, you're running for the presidency for the GOP primary, to be the nominee of the Republican Party for president of the United States, and yet it just seems like what she's doing is at odds with the Republican Party, at least the modern Republican MAGA Trump Party, who's going to win. And are you aligning yourself with the Bushies? Like, is this McConnell? Is this a deep state? I don't know. Is GOPE? Like, make sense of this, Paul, if we can.
Well, one of the things you said earlier, and I just want to touch on this, is like, right. So we've heard two speeches from her after two losses that sound like they're winning speeches. And what I said on X was, is she ever going to give a victory speech after a win? And I think the answer to that is no, because she's never going to win anything. And what you said is, I think the Kasich analogy is a really good one. The only thing I remember from John Kasich from that campaign was him going around eating pizza and pictures of him eating pizza. And that's like, there was like, I don't know how many pictures of him doing that. That's the one thing I remember from that campaign. The thing with Haley too is, look, let's be totally honest. She was a last minute fill in because DeSantis ran out of steam. And suddenly she's pretending that like she's ran a marathon when the truth is she got installed in the last like 500 meters. I mean, it's absurd. It's just silly. Of course, in my opinion, the media is trying to help her along. CNN shows her entire speech like she won. It's like, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's nonsense. That's the way that I feel about it. And I can tell you this. A lot of people on X tonight are really unhappy because it's like, look, you lost. It's time to move on. And, what are you doing here? Are you Liz Cheney too? Are you Adam Kinzinger too? I don't know. It's a great question.
Well, that's it. And I mean, again, Trump is 2 for 2 now. This does raise all kinds of questions about where are we at? What do you, I mean, I just don't understand the rationale going forward. Again, all the focus, all the money, the media, everything, all these different, outside things against Trump, the favorable coverage, all of these things. And Trump has beaten you twice. Okay, you got you came in third in Iowa behind Governor DeSantis, who's now out of the race, and you came in second in a 2-person race in New Hampshire, where people felt like that was your sort of high watermark and best place that you can go. I just don't understand. I mean, how do you talk to this just doesn't make any sense as to why you want to go forward at this point. Show me why that would make sense. Everybody else, these elected officials are rallying around Trump. Now, listen, everyone can make their own decision, but I don't know what the rationale is. I don't know how you say, oh, here's how I'm going to win. I just don't get it, So especially when you are falling behind in your own state. So it's very, very bizarre. I'd love to see what the people on X, have to say about this, or we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and X. So I would definitely want to see what people on LinkedIn and Facebook have to say about this as well. And I guess, what does this do for the coverage? And now that it looks like Trump is going to be the nominee. And here's the thing about that. So if you look at the Real Clear Politics averages, right, in terms of the predictions, and we're not going to go too long tonight. You just want to have a quick reaction. This is obviously an important night. But if you look at the prediction markets here, and you've just got if you look at January 12th, you had Donald Trump at 37.5, Joe Biden at 28.8, Governor Haley at 10.5, Gavin Newsom at 6.7, Michelle Obama at about, it's hard to tell right here. Let's call it 5.2, RFK Jr. at 3.7, Kamala Harris at 2.0, and Dean Phillips is somewhere below that. So that's very interesting. I don't know where DeSantis went, but anyway, it wasn't there, I guess. Or they took him out, or who knows. And then anyway, now you fast forward, the very latest is you've got Trump at 43, Biden at 32.1. So both of them have gone up substantially. Michelle Obama is now in third place in the prediction markets as 6.7. Nikki Haley is down to 5.0. So went from, cut in half or more almost, really. Cut in half right there. Gavin Newsom 4.3, and so on and so forth. So I think that's really, really interesting how that's playing out. And that's just showing you what people think right there in terms of predictions. So people are saying that, we think it's going to be President Trump. And so again, this is going to be, here's the thing. Anyway, it's the night, it's the first, you just lost, who knows, maybe all kinds of things could be going through your head. Maybe you're not, having all the analysis right now. You give someone space and time to make some decisions. Maybe you want to say, hey, I was just going to go through South Carolina. Maybe there's some plans. I don't know what, right? But I think whether it's maybe not tonight, but I think very, very soon, you have to ask yourself, you haven't won. What's the plan to win? What are you doing here? Everyone else is behind Trump. And I'm not saying, it's a coronation. It's just math. If you say that you really want to beat Biden and you really want these conservative principles and you served in the Trump administration and all these things, right? I just think it's very unseemly. You've had a lot of former Trump administration people, whether they're on TV or, on different, they've become on TV, whether it's, I don't want to name the shows, but some of these left-wing shows, some of the liberal media shows, and all of a sudden they're anti-Trump. It's like, I don't know. It's the same thing with Kinzinger and some of the rest of them. You can't be a Republican now because of Trump. What principles do you have? Do you believe in anything of conservative values and principles? So it's just, I think a lot of people are getting exposed, Paul. I think that just for some people, I don't know how widespread it is, but for some people, Trump derangement syndrome may be a thing. I'm not analyzing anybody, and I'm definitely not some licensed professional in that sphere whatsoever. But it's just, you can't explain at a certain point, do you either hate Trump that much? Do you have some other goals along there? Or do you just not care about the goals that you espouse or the party espouses? Do you want the party to win? And that's where I give credit to someone like Senator Scott, someone like Governor DeSantis. Think about that. Think about Governor DeSantis. If Governor DeSantis can drop out and endorse President Trump, like you said, he's been in this for a minute here. and has a long record and everything. And people are lining up saying, like, his polls were much better nationally, everything like that, for much longer. And here, Haley had this little last minute surge, and she acts like she's been fighting this forever, and she's never dropping out, right, Paul? Isn't it's kind of weird, right? I don't know if I fully articulated what I was trying to say there, but I think you get the gist of it.
It is kind of weird. And look, I think there's no realistic way that Trump is not going to get the nomination. The only thing I guess you could possibly hope for is the legal stuff. And I don't even know if that's realistic right now. And we're starting to get into that time of the election season. Both of us have seen some things recently. I saw some some really strange polling today from an outlet that I usually like, and it was for Pennsylvania. And I saw some stuff in there. I'm like, what in the world? And you had something happen. You can talk about it or not. It's up to you. That you encountered on LinkedIn when you put something up. And it's like we're starting to get kind of some of these little quirks and some of these things. And it's like, look, if you're a Republican, you actually want to win in November, you need to get serious. Like, in my opinion, we just don't have time for this because there's going to be a bunch of other things.
Yeah, sorry. I'll say this real quick. A couple things is number one is like, yeah, are we serious about winning in 2024, meaning the Republican Party, conservatives, and all that type of stuff, or not? Is this about, personal status, book tour, whatever? I don't know. Whatever, fill in the blank. I'm not alleging anything. I'm just saying what, just some hypothetical, potentialities out there, and not in no specific, instance or anything like that. And, it's go time. It's time to be serious about this. If you don't have a lane, it's one thing to wait till the votes are cast. The votes are starting to get cast. It's not looking good. If you're anyone else, if Trump's 2 for 2, and I think there was something out there like someone, whoever won, like in modern times, I may be wrong, but I think it's pretty close anyway. If a Republican won both Iowa, New Hampshire, like they've never gone on and lost the nomination, and that's happened. And this is a former president. I mean, like there's just the math doesn't make sense for anybody else. Look at the polling and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, you want to keep going a little bit, that's fine. No one's telling you, but I mean, at a certain point, like people are going to be like, "What's going on here?" Now, on the other stuff, listen. I don't want to get into anything. I'm not going to name names, stuff like that. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And look, I think that, love LinkedIn, love all these different platforms, and different things can happen, and who knows, and a lot of these, whatever. I'm not going to get into anything, but I will say at all. But I will say this, it wouldn't totally separate and apart from me. It has nothing to do with me. It wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing. Let me put it another way. I expect 2024 to be, unfortunately, a little bit of a crazy year. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a little bit of a crazy year. And we don't have time, to Paul's point, we do not have time for this like intramural, internecine type of like squabbling or extending campaigns or wasting resources. I mean, think of all that money, over $100 million for Governor DeSantis and Governor Haley, and, look at that. It's, if you believe in, trying to get America back to conservative principles, constitutional republic, everything like that, it's Trump. You got to back Trump. That's what it is. And because he's going to be running against Biden. It's Biden or Trump. Those are the two main choices. And that's what it is. So, all right, that's what I got to say right now. So, big win for Trump. Trump is consolidating the party. Not sure what's going on with Nikki Haley. It looks like she's giving winning speeches when she's losing. I don't know how much longer this goes. It seems like she's appealing more and more to sort of the left wing media. I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Paul, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, look, said to Nevada, and which I can't remember exactly when that end is. It's coming up not too soon, not too long. And let's go to South Carolina. I think at the very latest, Nikki Haley will be done after South Carolina because, barring a miracle, she's going to get crushed. So, I mean, if you lose like that in your home state, I don't know how you can continue.
And Super Tuesdays very quickly arrives after that, too. So, I mean, and there you go. So, look, that's what it is. There you go. And I think that it's going to be hard for the media narrative to keep up any kind of surging or any kind of real contest between Haley and Trump after this. So it's going to be very interesting. Anyway, that's what we wanted to do, some quick reaction here. Looking forward to your comments on the various social media platforms out there, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, X. Hey, do you agree? Do you disagree? Where do we get it wrong? Or where do you think it's going to go from here? What are your predictions? We'd love to talk to you. And of course, listen in and tune in every Monday from 4 to 6 p.m. where you can find myself and very, very often Paul on News Talk 1040 a.m. from 4 to 6 p.m. The John D. Villarreal Show. And we look forward to, and then we also do that live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and X. So there you go. We're going to continue this conversation online on the different platforms, and we look forward to seeing you later. Have a great night. For Paul, I'm John. Take care. We'll see you later.